Welcome to the Becoming You show with me, your host, Leah Roling. Do you believe you are capable of choosing your future? Sometimes it takes just one person to believe in you, or you to believe in yourself. If you find yourself continuing to say, someday I will take better care of myself, only to continue living the same day over and over and over again, then you, my friend, are in the right place. I am your biggest cheerleader, inspiring you to become you on purpose and with intention. Are you ready to create a life you love? I'm excited to share with you some big ideas that you can use today to inspire, impact, and influence your life and everyone in it. The Becoming You show starts now. Hello, my friends. How are you? I am trying to navigate this Iowa weather, raining and snowing one day and 70 and sunny the next. I like to think the weather will be what it will be. And thank goodness who we want to be is way more dependable. So we almost made it to May. And you know I love an end of the month to reevaluate our goals and habits and to celebrate our wins and learn from, well, our losses. We also have a beginning of the month to reassess what went well and what didn't. And we get another month to do it again. And sometimes I think we forget that we get to choose how we live into our life. I mean, really, it's all up for grabs, how you want to live your life and what it is that you want for your life. You get to choose that. And that is what I'm choosing to talk to you today about, our wants. When was the last time that you wanted something? I mean, really wanted something just for the sake of wanting it, not because you thought it was good for someone else, or not because somebody told you that it should be something that you want, like maybe world peace. But when was the last time you allowed yourself to dream? So often when we want something, our brain quickly offers up all the reasons why it's not a possibility for us. We can't afford it. It would take too much time. We don't know enough. And we silence our excuses with our scarcity thinking. We also tend to want in what's realistic. Unfortunately, that is what we are taught. Make smart goals. Be smart. Get a job and work your way up. 401k, it's key. Don't ask for more. Be practical. Be methodical. Don't rock the boat. Stay in your lane. Don't be different. Stay under the radar. Be quiet, but not too quiet. Be happy with what you have. Now, I am all about being happy with what you have, and we should be. But sometimes I think we get conflicted that if we are happy with what we have, then why would we want more? As if they're mutually exclusive. They aren't. We can want what we have and want to have more. Do you see this? So sometimes we have to trick our brain with questions like, what if we could just want because we want to? What would we want if we did not actually have to commit to the wanting it? What would we secretly want if we didn't have to tell it to anyone? Would it be fame? Would it be fortune? Timeshares all over the world? Infinite wisdom? The ability to speak 5 languages? To travel to the moon to be the president? To own our own plane and maybe pilot to fly us wherever we want, whenever we want? To quit our corporate job, to not work, maybe a PhD, maybe health, maybe energy, maybe more fun, less responsibility, more freedom, less stress? When I say these things, does your brain immediately give you? I know for me, it gives me all of the reasons why that is not in the realm of possibility. Is it the same for you? If so, this is great news. You are human. And since you are human, I have some additional great news for you. If you're willing to explore the possibilities of the human brain, You literally can have anything you desire. I believe that if you desire it, it can become your destiny. Otherwise, you wouldn't desire it. If you are willing to learn the tools and strategies around our brain, I truly believe you can tap into your human potential. And there is so much untapped potential, not just in your future, but in the real estate of your brain. I share a lot of ideas on this podcast around managing our head and our heart space, ideas on how to solve for negative emotion and difficult people. But we can also use this same work to get what we want. This want for success, for well-being, for health, for fulfillment, purpose, meaningful relations, for wealth, for fame, for living your best life. Whatever it is that you want isn't something that just happens to us. It is something that we have to cultivate, create, and hold captive. Our desires for most wants are ignited by wanting something different, something better. And this is the motivation behind the desires. Think about a new year. We start motivated, inspired, and committed. And then we wonder why it goes away. We have desires in a new year ignited by wanting something better or something different in the upcoming year. And then what happens? We lose sight of what we want and we revert back to what is familiar. We forget our dreams and our thoughts and our feelings. We need to reignite, recommit, remotivate, and reorient ourselves to our dreams daily. Not once a year, friends, daily. For me, it's making sure that I write my ambitions and look at my vision board and do my gratitude journal every single day. It is a practice. I think about the feeling of desiring them, even if my ambitions and goals have been on there for a long time, and for some of them, they have. I keep them on there because I want to keep them top of mind. When we don't, our brain thinks we have forgotten about them, that they are no longer relevant, top of mind, and available as a choice for our conscious to choose from. That is why I want to challenge each of you to create a morning routine on who it is that you want to be and what it is that you want. What could you recommit to? What could you be remotivated by? Maybe it's your marriage. Maybe it's your mission. Maybe it's your health. Maybe your finances. We need to remember that where our attention goes, energy flows. Psychologists call it attentional control. It's an intentional focus on where we give our attention to. Do you want to know the very best place to look to find out what you have committed to, where your attention is? It's not the scale. It's not your social media account. It's not your inbox. It's not your bank account balance. It's your calendar. Friends, it needs to be blocked out, scheduled out, and allocated to, at minimum, a weekly, ideally the day, and even times that you're going to commit to your goals, your ambitions, your dreams, and your wants. Having it on your calendar helps you avoid the distractions that come from external sources trying to steal your judgment and your time and your money. So that's the first thing. We are going to talk about planning and prioritizing and scheduling in Becoming in May as we do a deep dive into this topic of want. So if you have found yourself wanting the same thing year after year and just can't seem to accomplish it, if you find yourself saying, how do I not know what I want at this time and age of my life? This is the work we're doing next month. So I want you in there if this is relevant for you. Wants are easier to take action on if there is an element of impact and accountability to it. How can our wants impact our families, our communities, and the world? We are much more willing to commit to our want if it has a social impact. If our want betters the world in some way, we stay the course longer and stronger than if our want was purely our own to want. Now, don't get me wrong. I am all in for you wanting what you want just to want it. But I'm guessing you can find a way to reinvent your want to impact society at large. Think about it. You committing alone to your want will require a new dedicated sense of self. And this new dedication alone will no doubt inspire others to dream and maybe even want again. The other thing, can you attach accountability to your want? Can you share what you want with your peers and your mentors and your coaches and ask them to show up for you and honor you and your recommitment and cheer you on? We are much better at following through on something that we have committed to someone else than we are to our commitment to ourselves alone. It goes to our people-pleasing nature. We would not want to let down anyone else, right? Especially somebody else. So when you think about getting what you want, most of us think about what we would need to do in order to get such a want. Let's take running a marathon, for example. Let's say you want to run 26.2 miles. Well, first, you would have to assess your current running shape. Then you would hire a coach or maybe look for a plan online. You would no doubt need a new pair of running shoes, maybe some cute running attire. I mean, right? A must. Absolute requirement. You would need to pick a race, and then you need to backdate that race date to determine when you actually start your training plan. And then lastly, you start running. Now, this doesn't seem too hard, but it's not the action that's hard. It's the commitment. It's the dedication. It's the willingness to solve for the obstacles that we will no doubt face. It's not about visualizing the end of the race that will get you there. It's planning for the pit holes along the way. Friends, I say this in almost every single podcast. We don't do what we know. We do who we are as a state of being. We have to be it to achieve it, they say. So in order to get what we want, we have to determine who we would have to be. In this case, we would have to be committed and dedicated and willing. I also like to think about our B states with regards to how would we feel once we achieve that thing that we want. You see, we have been conditioned to believe that the world looks like this. I train for the marathon, I run the marathon, and then I feel proud and capable and confident. I wish it was this simple, but this is not how human behavior works. It's not how our psyche works. This is why we don't do what we know. What is required is what is termed causal coaching. It's a quantum phenomenon, which means we have to do it backwards. Instead of action, train for the marathon, result, complete marathon, emotion, proud, capable, and confident. No. We have to reverse that. We have to be proud and capable and confident to train and finish the race. The emotion state of being is what fuels the action to train. It's way more about knowing what you are than knowing what you need to do. If I'm not bringing confidence and capabilities along with my training, I will no doubt be tripped up by the potholes along the way. And I've seen it so many times. These potholes look like scarcity, scarcity of time, scarcity of capability, scarcity of motivation, of confidence. And you know what the antidote to the scarcity is? Abundance. We need abundance fueling our training plan. If we wait for the feelings of abundance to come along after we complete the race, Either one, we won't complete it at all, and the potholes will no doubt trip us up, or two, that journey is just not going to be as enjoyable because we're going to willpower our way through it. When you think about running a marathon, losing weight, finding a spouse, making money, whatever the want that you're going to want with me this month, sometimes these are long journeys. They take months, sometimes years. And if we're not enjoying the journey, it is much easier to burn out, to give up, to quit. So yes, you can have all of the training blocked in your calendar. Check. You can attach the race to some impact, whether it is a charity run or you are just training for life itself to get stronger and healthier for other people and yourself. Impact, checked. You can create accountability by telling 5 people that you're doing this run on this date and that you would love their support and their well wishes. You can train with friends for the ultimate accountability. Accountability, check. You can do all of that, but if you're not committed to being the person that wants the want will wane. I don't want you to lose your want to wane, especially because there is a different way, a more empowering way, a more fun way, a way less exhausting way. You with me? So what is required to be a person that's committed to their want? A choice. An intentionality about who you want to be. To run a marathon, you have to be a marathoner, which means you know that crossing that finish line is the easy part. The hard part is the grinding miles before that exhaust, the Epsom salt baths, the sacrifice of missing out on Netflix to get to sleep earlier, the missing out on the snooze to get up and run, the discernment for better fuel to ensure your energy is where it needs to be, along with hydration and proper supplementation. It's the grace and the patience of the strains and the sprains along the way, physical, mental, and emotional. And if you get through all of that, you land yourself at the start of the race. You still have 26.2 miles to run. Who are you going to be when you feel like you can't go another step? When your legs cramp up, when you feel a sense of exhaust like never before, when you want to stop to walk, but you're afraid if you might not start running again. Who are you going to be if the weather is rainy and muddy and you're freezing? Who are you going to be when the weather is hot and humid? What would a marathoner do? What would a marathoner say to themselves, mile after mile after mile, to stay the course, to anticipate the obstacles, to choose in advance who they want to be? I know some of us by now have lost steam to the goals, the ambitions, and the wants, and the desires that were just set 5 months ago. And wherever you are with them, or wherever you are not, I want to encourage you to recommit to that want today. Maybe it's something with your kids and you feel disconnected from them. Maybe it's your marriage and you feel as though life is happening so fast that it has fallen off of your priority list. Maybe it's your finances and the money is not coming in as fast as it's going out, and your statement is causing a great deal of overwhelm. Maybe it's your habits as it relates to your weight loss goals and your health and your energy and your productivity. Maybe it's your job and the people that you work with, but ultimately and primarily that boss that steals all of your joy. Wherever in your life you feel as though it's not going as good as you want, I want you to teach yourself how to shift, how to re-want, how to re-expect, how to recommit. And again, if you want help with this, this is what we're going to be doing and becoming, coming up like next week. I want you to ask yourself, how would this person that I want to become, that I want to be, overcome the situation that I'm in? What do I need to learn? What do I need to try differently? Who can you get to support you? Maybe a coach or a mentor. How can you get back on track? What do you need to move the needle just a little to create a little momentum so that motivation is ignited? It won't be perfect conditions. You will have to accept your exact circumstances exactly as they are. Are you willing to do that? Your want is dependent on you being willing to do that. And please don't hear me say that acceptance means approval. But every time we resist reality by not accepting what is, we lose. We lose the leverage to access our problem-solving skills. We lose our ability to reinvent ourselves back to our wants. Grace is acceptance of what is and a hope, trust, and faith in what could be. Grace is what is required and an invitation to see what you're capable of, not to prove your worth, but to honor it. What would it look like to honor your worth? I think for so many of us, we have to start by making peace with the idea that we are worthy, that our worth is set for you and for me. And if we don't believe that to be true, it is really hard to honor in the way that it deserves. I get it. I know that we have lots of proof on why that might not feel true for you. A quick trip down memory lane will no doubt remind you of your perceived not enoughness. Maybe your dad left, never came back. Maybe you were excluded from the cool kids at school. Maybe you didn't get to start on the high school volleyball team. Maybe you didn't make the cheerleading squad. Maybe you didn't get your high school crush, but instead they liked your best friend. Maybe you didn't get into the college you wanted. Maybe you had failed relationships, maybe a couple, maybe too many to count. Maybe you got fired, maybe all of these. We all have our stories to confirm our possible not enoughness. Whatever your story is, I promise an enough story is available to you to choose it. Maybe you had an amazing mother that taught you more than a mom and dad combined could do. Maybe you had a brother that reminded you daily that life is not to be taken for granted. Maybe a great group of girlfriends that allowed you to be silly without judgment and concern. Maybe you made the track and basketball teams. Maybe you got into a different college and found yourself in a relationship that allowed you to explore, by contrast, who you were and who you were not. Just like with choosing your B state, you get to choose your enough state. And I hate to break it to you, but there is no enough fairy. No one is coming to your door deeming you enough. Nope. That is a choice that you get to make. There is no worth award. No one is presenting you a worth trophy, and no one needs to. You just have to decide that your wants, your ambitions, your future, your purpose are worth the choice. Both choices are available. Some of my clients struggle with this not enoughness. They perceive that it is hard to believe that this whole my worth is set and I'm complete is available to them. And if you are like them, I want to offer that it is hard either way. What hard will you choose? It is hard to live from a belief that I'm not enough. It is hard to choose to live the belief that you are. Pick your hard. I promise you, the minute you start seeing yourself as enough, I'm not even suggesting that you go from I'm not enough to I'm plenty enough. What about a compromise? What if you started living from a belief that it is possible that I could be enough, or that I'm enough in certain areas of my life, and allow that belief to become the anchor for your worth? You will begin to create a life that you were always meant to live. The very best of who you are is already in you to choose. Those wants, those desires are unique to you and only you. What if you didn't have to believe that you should suffer? What if you didn't have to believe that it wasn't in the cards for you to have to want? What if your brain wants to offer you about your wants? And what if you could be wrong about it? If you were wrong, what would you have to do? You would have to choose. Choose to let go of who it is that you think you should be and choose to live into the best of who we are. If you like this episode, friends, would you do me a favor? Would you share it with your very favorite people and ask them to do the same? This movement requires our movement, this movement to become more by being more. I truly believe that together, you and me, we can become more and inspire others to do the same. We can change the world one mindset at a time, starting with ourselves. Thanks for being with me, you guys. Have a most amazing weekend, everyone, and I will see you next Friday, 11 Central. See you soon. You have been listening to the Becoming You Show with me, your host, Leah Roling, where I share big ideas to inspire, impact, and influence your life. Tune in every Friday at 11 Central on transformationtalkradio.com for your morning cup of coffee, the hug you never want to end, and that inspirational message that you felt was written just for you. Each show is inspiring you to become you with purpose and intention. For more information or to connect with me, visit www.leahroling.com.